Okay, so this video is going to be all about supplements for Crohn's disease. So I have a notepad here full of supplements and research, and I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, so the first study I want to bring to your attention is this study done in 1993, which took 24 different patients with Crohn's disease and 24 healthy patients without Crohn's disease, and it basically tested the different vitamin levels between the two groups. So of the fat-soluble vitamins, A and E were significantly decreased in patients with Crohn's disease compared to those without. Among the water-soluble vitamins, vitamin B1, B2, B6, in addition to folic acid, were more depleted in patients with Crohn's disease compared to the ones without. They also noted that vitamin B12 and vitamin C were the same for those with Crohn's disease as those without. So the first supplement on my list is going to be folic acid, which is also known as vitamin B9. So when you eat folic acid, either through diet or through supplementation like this, it turns into folate in the body. Now, folate helps metabolize amino acids, specifically to do with cell division. So if you're building muscle either through bodybuilding, any sort of sports, basically when the cell expands, it gets to a certain size, then it splits, basically growing your muscles. And folate is essential in that process. So doctors recommend 400 micrograms per day of folic acid. Now I'm taking a pill here of 1 milligram, so that's about 2.5 times the recommended amount, but generally those of us with Crohn's disease have absorption issues, which is why we're taking the supplement in the first place. So 2.5 times the amount is not so bad. That's what the doctor recommended, is 1 milligram tablet per day. And even though you can get folate through diet, folate has been found to not absorb properly in patients with Crohn's disease or actually other similar diseases as well. And it's been found that deficiency has been accelerated by consumption of alcohol. So for those with a deficiency of folic acid, they're going to have diarrhea, depression, confusion, among other symptoms. And if you want recommended folic acid, I'll get some links gathered up in the description so you can click and check them out down below this video. So the second supplement on my list is vitamin D. And vitamin D is responsible for increasing intestinal absorption of calcium, magnesium, and phosphate. So most people know you can get vitamin D from sunlight. You can also take drops kind of like this here. I'll put links in the description to all that. So in a study here in 2012, vitamin D deficiency was common in patients with Crohn's disease as 63% of patients. And it was significantly higher in the winter than summer, which was 68% in the winter and 50% in the summer. But even though it was lower in the winter, the researchers did note that the deficiency rate remained even high in the summer. So that means that you're still going to have to keep on with your vitamin D supplementation. Okay, so the third supplement we're going to be looking at is iron. Now, iron can be taken orally, but it's generally preferred by doctors to be given through intravenous. So your doctor probably has already arranged in the past, if you're deficient, or at least maybe has one scheduled in the future, for you to get iron through intravenous. I've had it done. Takes about, they usually say it takes 3 hours, but that's on the high end. I think mine was an hour and a half or 2 hours. I had it after I was 8 days in the hospital, so it was basically after my surgery, actually double surgery. I had one surgery on day 1, a surgery on day 2, and then 6 days of recovery. And on the second last day or the last day of recovery, I had my iron transfusion. And basically it's just a black bag. It looks kind of weird or gross, but after you spend enough time in the hospital, that kind of stuff doesn't really bother you. Everything's kind of, all the weird stuff is now normal. So iron is a mineral used to carry oxygen through the body to produce energy, and it also removes carbon dioxide. So anemia is a serious complication of Crohn's disease that triggers hospitalization, and if not interfered with, may lead to death. So iron deficiency is the most common underlying condition of those with anemia. Researchers say oral iron supplementation seems effective for short periods, but intolerance leads to discontinuation in up to 21%. Studies have shown that oral iron enhances intestinal inflammation, whereas researchers say that iron supplementation via intravenous is safe, effective, and does not carry such hazards. Now, I take a special kind of iron recommended by my doctor called Proferin, and again, I'll leave a link to this in the description. But basically, it's an iron that's extracted from animal hemoglobin. So it's more money. If you go to the drugstore and just look for an iron supplement, that's going to be a lot cheaper, and I don't think it's going to absorb as well. So if your doctor arranges an intravenous iron supplementation, so they actually hook you up at the hospital for a couple hours, So even after that process, your doctor is going to need to have you back every few months, maybe it's every year. I'm sure it's different between different patients, but you're going to have to go back on the IV. Now, hopefully to avoid that is you can try out this type of iron and hopefully it absorbs better. I have a quote here from Chris Kresser, and he is the co-director of California Center of Functional Medicine. He says that in his experience, Proferin, which is derived from animal products, is less likely to cause GI issues. Okay, so those are basically the 3 supplements that my doctor has me on. There's a few other supplements that people have asked me about, people have brought up, so I'm going to cover those now. So the first one is just a general multivitamin. Now, I take a pretty comprehensive multivitamin. It's not really one that you're going to find at your typical drugstore. It's made specifically for men. It's made for men that work out, and the number of vitamins that this has in it is honestly pretty long. So it has, I would say, about 20 vitamins, and then you go down below to the minerals, and it has, a bunch of amino acids. It has, honestly, it's crazy packed, and if you can afford this and you're going to the gym and you're a guy, I would recommend this. I'll put a link below. It's made by Optimum Nutrition. It's probably the #1 men's multivitamin for those that are physical and trying to gain muscle. Now, this one's called Opti Men, so there's probably one that's called Opti Women, I'm guessing. I'll leave a link. I'll see what I can find for women too and put both in the description below. Now, like I said, that's not doctor recommended. He doesn't say I need to take a multivitamin. It's just kind of my choice, my undertaking that I wanted a multivitamin. So the next supplement is for vitamin C. Okay, so basically if you're taking Humira, your immune system is pretty much none. I'm on Humira. I don't have that bad of experience. I don't get colds that often. I do get colds in the summertime though. I probably get 3 colds per year. So maybe every 4 months. I haven't had one that I can remember, maybe back in July, and now it's November. But basically vitamin C is said to, in general, help fight the common cold. So basically studies are kind of conflicting. So the one study here says intake of vitamin C may slightly reduce the duration of the illness, but does not affect its incidence and severity. So the conflicting study here is focusing on those with heavy physical stress. So if, like I said, if you're going to the gym and lifting really heavy, lifting hard, working out, etc., trying to build muscle, trying to gain weight, this is basically what you're going to be falling under here. They looked at 3 different groups in this study. So one were school children at a skiing camp in the Swiss Alps. Another was military troops in northern Canada. And the third group were participants in a 90-kilometer running race. Now that's pretty extreme, but basically there's kind of 3 different levels of intensity. So researchers found that in all 3 studies, a considerable reduction in the common cold incidence was found in the group supplemented with vitamin C. So I don't see any harm in taking it. The first one says it might slightly reduce the duration, but it's not going to affect the incidence and severity. But the other one did say it affected the incidence if you were under heavy physical stress. Maybe you have an outside job. That's another example. If you're working a labor job, landscaping, construction, anything like that. So the next supplement is B12, vitamin B12. Now, in our earlier study, we mentioned that vitamin B12 was found to be deficient in both the group with Crohn's disease and the group without Crohn's disease. And in another study, researchers found that those with Crohn's disease and a deficiency in vitamin B12 who were taking vitamin B12 supplementation, it wasn't necessarily proven effective. So I personally am not taking vitamin B12. Obviously, if your doctor recommends it, just do as your doctor says, but I'm not taking it personally. A couple last things. We got BCAAs and EAAs. BCAAs are basically so basically there's 20 amino acids, and those are used to build muscle. 9 of those amino acids are considered essential, and basically by essential, all of them are needed, but the ones called essential are the ones that you have to get through diet. So you have to eat protein to get those, or take some sort of other supplement. So there's 2 types of amino acids you can take, and it's usually in a powder form. You mix it in a drink. It usually tastes pretty good, comes with flavoring. The BCAAs are 3 amino acids, and the EAAs are all 9 of the amino acids. So right now I'm taking BCAAs, but I will be switching to EAAs just because it's more complete. I've only recently heard of supplement stores offering all the 9 essential amino acids. I'm kind of maybe late on the train. I'm not really sure. But a friend of mine recommended it a couple months ago, and then I've been looking into it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to switch over as soon as I'm done drinking my BCAAs. The last thing on my list is a liver supplement. So someone brought up to me that their doctor said they didn't want them taking any more pills because their liver was weak, but they didn't have them on a liver supplement, which was kind of weird. Most doctors, if your liver is weak, you would go on a liver supplement. Liver is one of the organs that can regenerate itself. It takes a while. One doctor told me that it takes a year and a half, up to a year and a half of, things that damage your liver, alcohol, just heavy medication use, anything, even Tylenol could do it if you're abusing Tylenol. I'll put some links below to some liver supplements, but basically if your blood work comes back, generally in Canada here, our blood work is all online, so we can go online and check it after it's done. Basically, after 2 days it's been done, you can go online and check, and you can look at your liver values, and if they're low, you can basically just buy an over-the-counter liver supplement instead of waiting. For me, it's at least 6 months to get into my specialist doctor, and instead of waiting the 6 months, from here, put me into mid next year, waiting to hear that, oh, your liver values are bad, you should go on this supplement. You can actually just go ahead and buy it now and get on it. So the next time you do blood work with your doctor, it's actually hopefully good by then. So I'll include a link to the liver supplements. There's tons of different options. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy to help. And if you haven't checked out my other videos, I've made 4 videos so far, all for those looking to gain weight with Crohn's disease. So check those out and let me know how I can help.